Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Zach.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Victor. And this is the podcast where your mind is a beam of light bouncing in a prism of bullshit.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
Yeah, I really love the song.
Thank you.
Two Lives. But it was funny, I didn't watch the video and song together.
Oh.
Like, you sent me the video, and for whatever reason, wherever I was when you sent it, I couldn't do audio. So I watched the visual silently because it just automatically plays in my text messaging app. And then I listened to the song separately because I saw you had it on the drive.
Oh, it's on the drive?
Yeah, it's on our Dream Team drive. I went in there to edit, and I was like, "Oh, hey, the song! I should listen to that."
What?
I wonder why
How
that is.
did it get there?
Well,
Oh, I don't know. Maybe you meant to put it on your personal drive.
I think it's because I made an Instagram visual, and I must have accessed it because you shared the Google Drive link with me. So I must have been logged into TJAR.
gotcha.
TR.
Well,
Yeah.
this was not the original creative intention of Tim when he created that video. It was,
Oh, did Tim make that video?
he made the video, yeah.
Oh, that was sick. I was gonna ask if you made it, Olivia.
Nah.
Olivia's been doing all the album art, though. Been doing a bunch of variations for singles and stuff.
Yeah.
On the
that's been kinda
jackalope.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, and she just cranked another one out today. I was like, "Baby, I need art. I need it fast." And she's like, "No problem." And made a new thing for it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
You're so welcome. And should plug you. If you listeners want to go check out Victor's music, you can find him on Spotify and Bandcamp.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird name. It's Deesser, which is DE-ESSCR. If you do any recording, it's like the tool, Deesser. Yeah.
The vocal. Yeah, I guess it's not really an effect. It's more like a tool.
Yeah. I guess something within me was like, become ungoogleable. And so that's what I did.
Yeah.
Deesser, nothing. Wait, Deesser music. Fuck, nothing.
I remember when I was learning how to record stuff, I don't know. Growing up, I was like the kid that tried to build the Lego castle without reading the instructions.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my same approach to recording. I didn't look stuff up or ask anybody. I just kind of went on intuition. And it took me way longer to figure certain things out than it should have. For a long time, I thought a de-esser was I remember trying to use it to see if I could get rid of my lisp in my vocal tracks. Cause I was like, it's got to get rid of the S, right?
Makes it worse.
I used it a lot when I was trying to make that first album because it was all shitty tape and bad recording equipment and just garbage quality. And so a de-esser was very necessary.
I'm still not sure I could explain in technical terms what it does, but
I can't. I absolutely can't. It makes some of the hissy noise go away. I don't know.
yeah, smooths out the sharp edges kind of.
How's stuff in Zach world? Going good?
Yeah. I mean, Shelby just left yesterday. So it's, back to the lame part of the routine,
Mm-hmm.
which is just going to work and shit. But other than that, good. Yeah.
For sure.
Just plugging away at saving up enough money to really start looking for apartments.
Are you still kind of hunting for pod jobs, or are you kind of stable right now with what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm job hunting. Well, I'm splitting my attention when I'm job hunting between jobs that I want and because there's a good chance we move to Long Beach, which is 30 minutes on a good day from here.
Mm-hmm.
And so with my current I have two jobs and obviously the awesome one working for Weaponized, the podcast. I go ahead and plug that. I don't think I've mentioned it on this podcast before. But I'm an engineer for Weaponized with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. So I'll be doing that no matter where I live because that's the cool one.
Just a very cool podcast.
Really good.
I'm a fan. I'm always checking out new episodes when they drop.
Yeah, if you're into UFOs, go check that out.
Yeah. And then I have another job that's, whatever, mundane, kind of low paying, but consistent. And
Gotcha.
so if we move down to Long Beach, I'm not going to commute for that shit. So I'm also spending some of my time looking at kind of lateral moves that would be a short commute from Long Beach.
Right.
Gotcha. For some reason, I thought you were still working at the other podcast job. And so like maybe you were trying to swap that out with something else, but okay, that makes sense.
I am. I'm still employed at that place.
Oh,
and
okay.
That's how I met Jeremy and George. And I still work there on the weekends, but the bulk of my work life is spent doing something else.
Gotcha. So you're like full up on work right now, but have to like shuffle stuff around a little bit.
Yeah. And if I could replace the lame job with something cool, probably not going to be as cool as Weaponized, but if it could at least be in the podcasting world, that would be ideal.
Right.
So that's where, I'm using those search terms first on Indeed, podcast, engineer, blah, blah, blah. But when we get closer to like actually having to make a move, I might have to just do something, or else put a bunch of miles on my car for no good reason.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's the Zach World Update. It's all very exciting stuff. Every time I talk to my parents on the phone, I'm like, no, still nothing new.
I don't mean to be like channeling your dad or whatever. Like, what are you up to, Zach?
No, I talk to them way less frequently than you guys. Is my point. That it's like, yeah, I mean, it feels like it's like eventually going to like a bunch of stuff is going to happen at once. Like I'm putting in a lot of consistent effort right now, and like I think season 2 of Weaponized is going to be a really awesome shift for me professionally. And then when something kicks loose with Shelby, she'll be able to move here and we'll have a new apartment. Then there will be a bunch of changes. And I'll have to have a different job at that point. But
yeah, it's always like a weird period when you're like, you see what's right on the horizon and you're just kind of like waiting for it.
Yeah, just grinding it out.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're so ready for a change. But then, because I've had this happen a number of times. You're just desperate for that change. And then like once it happens so fast. And you're like, oh shit, I thought I was ready.
Yeah.
Like when I moved to Seattle, I was working in a kitchen in Loveland, Colorado, like fresh off a breakup, living with my dad. And I was just like job hunting every day. And it was just looking hopeless. Like I was going to live in my dad's house forever, flipping burgers. And then all of a sudden I got a job. And like 3 days later, I was driving across from Denver to Seattle.
It happened that fast?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Our bosses wanted me up there like ASAP. And we both know how that turned out.
Yeah.
But it was it was a huge step up from working in a kitchen and living with my parent.
It's definitely like a resume stepping stone job.
Yeah, and it got my life going.
The audacity of them to be like, yes, you need to drive up here immediately for this.
Yeah.
Your big break. Those fucking assholes.
That's what I thought it would be. Yeah.
That place is fueled by hubris.
Yeah. It really is like powered by people who are in that kind of situation, like someone like us with a film degree or some kind of like liberal arts degree that is like desperate for a chance to not work a menial job, and then it turns out to be like 20 times worse.
Yeah.
But because you're desperate, they're going to pay you a low wage as a contractor, so you don't get health insurance until you just quit, and then they find a new one.
Yeah.
That's a way around ever giving anyone a raise.
Creative
Super cool
stuff.
Place to work.
Creative jobs often can be like predatory like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. But it was still like kind of the when it rains, it pours kind of thing. Cause like it got me on the road out to Seattle. It got my life moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think that this next set of like important life changes is going to be way better because I've been more patient this time. and I sort of jumped on that job, our old job, when it cropped up. It was the first one the first cool job to interview me. And I've been a lot more thoughtful about the changes around the corner, but I still think when they happen, it's going to be like fast, but hopefully I'll be more prepared this time.
Are you kind of feeling like you're in a holding pattern with pregnancy, Olivia? Is it like you're just waiting for the thing to happen?
Yeah, actually, kind of.
Oh, yeah. That is kind of like what I'm describing.
I kind of said that to someone the other day too. Like, it kind of just feels like, all right, I see the main event, and I'm just sitting here, getting bigger,
Trying not to barf.
feeling pretty constipated. Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah. And then I've heard once it actually like all goes down. Your brain produces a chemical that makes you kind of like, I don't know if it's like adrenaline adjacent, but it also causes you to kind of forget like how traumatizing it is, so that you're more likely to reproduce again.
I have heard that. I'm also trying to avoid birth trauma, which is why we are having this baby at home.
You think that'll prevent birth trauma?
Yeah, I do.
Like in terms of like pain and stuff?
I don't think the pain is what's traumatic. I think it's being in a setting where people are not listening to you and just, I'm sorry, I've been like down a rabbit hole with this, but like we have like fully medicalized this natural process to a point where it's like treated like a medical emergency, and like your life is on the line at every second, and like the way it's handled in the medical model, it can be traumatic.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I've heard.
We were just learning about this thing called, is it like the birth like ejection reflex or something?
The fetal ejection reflex.
Fetal ejection reflex.
I love that band. They're super metal.
But the idea is like you have a reflex that will kick in that is gonna expel the baby, and that is like there's no medical intervention or no drugs. That reflex happens, and if there are drugs or if there is intervention, that will not happen, right? And it's like that is kind of the way that you're built to like give birth, is that you build up to the point where that reflex gets triggered. But a lot of the time people never experience that because there's already a bunch of intervention happening before you even get there, right?
Well,
and so
that's why people are like pushing. Like you literally don't actually need to push a baby out. It will come out.
It's like pooping.
Yeah, I guess.
Right. You shouldn't strain or you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah. At a certain point, the poop is going to come out.
Right. So there are like medical emergencies where
Oh, absolutely.
the hospital is necessary.
100%.
Definitely. But
But
most of the
it's
time,
not going anywhere. You know, it'll be there if that happens, but there's probably like a slim to none chance.
Yeah, it's not a high chance. But yeah, that's
Are you gonna
and
get
that's
like
what
a?
hospitals are for.
Are you gonna get like a doula?
Yeah,
Yep.
we have a doula. We have a midwife, who is a trained medical professional.
Doctor. The doctor.
She is a doctor. Not all midwives are doctors, but this midwife is also a doctor. And
Is this the one that predicted the baby?
no, that's Victor's ex-girlfriend.
Oh right, all right. That would be awkward.
Yeah, but we got the doula, we got the midwife, we got the shaman, we got the cultist.
No, no crystals. There's nothing woo about all of this. I feel like home birth has this like, I don't know, like when you hear that, people think that you've got like a shaman there and you're like smudging the place and that it's like super dangerous, but it's actually like safer for babies and for mothers. And
Like statistically.
yes, statistically it is safer. And yeah, I mean, and this is not to shame anybody. Like if you want to go to the hospital and you feel comfortable there and you want an epidural and you want the meds, like more power to you. I support whatever people want to do. But for me, the idea of being at home is really appealing.
Yeah. It's kind of like a regional cultural practices kind of thing, right? So like in the States, everybody goes to the hospital and then like something like 2/3 have like C-sections or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like super common to do that. A third. Okay. And then, but like there's other places where it isn't done that way. I think, what was it, Norway, that has like a lot of home births or something?
I think all of Europe, midwives are much more common. And yeah, in like Scandinavia, I think it was like 1/3 of all people are having their babies at home.
Yeah. So just different approach.
They tend to do things smarter,
With some stuff.
in my opinion. Yeah. The smart cold countries.
But you can only get like 2 kinds of Pop Tart there. So like,
how do you know that?
there's always like people will post pictures of like, in my country, this is what the American section in the grocery store looks like, and it's always like a thing of Pop Tarts, a thing of cereal, and then like a bunch of stuff that I've never seen before. Doesn't actually exist in this country.
They just have 2 Pop Tarts, and it's lingonberry and fish paste.
They probably are different because I'm pretty sure Pop Tarts are literally not legal in a lot of European countries. Like they don't pass the food standards because they're fucking toxic.
Yeah, that's the other thing. A lot of our food isn't isn't legal to sell for human consumption in Europe. Like
American bread? Nope.
Yeah, who's telling me? I might have said this already on the podcast. I think this already came up, but somebody was telling me that their sister and brother-in-law moved to Japan, and they did not decrease the number of calories they ate in a day, but they both lost like 20 pounds.
Okay, we're gonna open up like another conspiracy. Like,
here we go.
We're gonna sound like so woo and crazy. Like we're reasonable people.
We are.
We're good, rational,
science-minded,
honest Americans. You want to go on a ramble, Olivia?
No,
lecture
this
the people?
one's you. I already went on one.
Okay. So like I don't know for sure, but like there's like there's all sorts of people that'll be like, oh, I went to Europe and all I did was eat bread and cake and I lost 2 pounds or whatever.
Right.
And then you'll hear various like health things, like people that experience gluten intolerance here will go to Europe and be like, I was able to eat bread and I didn't have a problem. And so there's something different going on with the bread, possibly. And one possible explanation for that is Roundup is very widely used in the United States and is illegal in most other places. And the United States specifically, we use a shitload of Roundup on like wheat products.
They use it
like
as a
wheat
drying
specifically.
agent too, like to harvest the wheat. They'll use it as a drying agent, so it's all just like coated in Roundup.
Right. And so I don't know. That's kind of my guess of what's going on there.
There's been studies about like the effects of glyphosate Roundup on your gut microbiome, and it just like fucking destroys it.
Yeah, I was going to ask how that correlates to weight gain, because I could see, a chemical being like cancer causing or something.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is that it's approved because they're like, well, it's not really carcinogenic. So like the FDA is like, this is probably fine, but they don't test what it does to your gut, and your gut is kind of like the center of everything. And so yeah, the theory is that like we're eating a bunch of American gluten, and it's not the gluten that people are intolerant to. It's the Roundup.
Yeah. But like end of the day, like totally cut and dry, no interpretation there. We have lower food safety standards here. There are people here that experience like health consequences from eating food that they don't experience with similar food in other places with better health safety standards. So make of that what you will.
We tested the gluten thing though, like because my mom is the most gluten sensitive person I've ever met. Like if she has a little bit of it, she's like ill. And
celiac?
No, she's not celiac, and that is the key difference. It has nothing to do with celiac. Celiac is an actual like allergy. Reaction to gluten, and this is different. But so we ordered Italian flour from Italy, and she ate it and had no problem.
Yeah, I came up against this back when I worked in gourmet cheese. My first cheese job was in a like Whole Foods-esque kind of like local foodie grocery store, like in Boulder, Colorado, like granola hippy dippy central. And people would come in and like shop, be like looking at the cheese selection, and they would pick something up and ask me if it was organic. And I'd be like, well, no, because in Europe, they don't have the, USDA. So it's not USDA certified organic, but trust me, it's better. It's still, what they're doing is better than what you have to than the hoops you have to jump through to get stamped with the organic label.
Mm.
Yeah.
At least in cheese, that's,
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Wheelhouse.
it feels like it's inescapable, we're just kind of surrounded with stuff that's really bad.
Yeah, I'm probably like 1% plastic at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
It's in the
saw
water.
something the other day, like yesterday. I was seeing something about how like people are constantly inhaling microplastics. Like it's just in the air. Like you're inhaling a significant amount of plastic. I can't remember what the comparison one. I know it was another thing where they're like, it's X amount of days you end up inhaling a credit card worth of plastic or whatever. I can't remember. But point being, it's enough to have health consequences.
Yeah, I mean, there'd definitely be health consequences to swallowing a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. I guess I was going to do a different one that happened last week, but I had kind of a crazy one last night that's super fresh.
Super fresh.
I didn't write it down, but it was very vivid, so let me just remember. Okay. So I was walking in a forest at night, on a path, and in front of me, like directly in front of me, is a centaur that is also walking in the same direction as me, and it's carrying a child that is kind of screaming and upset. It wasn't a baby, it was like a younger kid though, like maybe a 6 or 7-year-old. And I'm just kind of following this centaur with this kid, and then I look around me, like, and there's other paths through the woods, and I see there's like tons of centaurs carrying children. Some of them are like asleep, and then the other ones, the ones that are awake, are very upset. And then I look behind me, and there's a centaur behind me carrying a child, and I like move to the side, like off of the path, to let him pass. And as the centaur is passing me, he looks at me and he said, "Don't worry, you're not one of them. You should be proud." And then the path suddenly, it's like there's a magical kind of like, it was like you're walking through the forest, and then suddenly you're like through a veil, you're into a different setting. And I'm in a library, and it's still night. And there's a little kid and his dad in the library. And I look behind me, and I can see the veil back through the veil back into the forest. And this fucking terrifying, like 9-foot tall, slender man ass looking clown comes like doing this scary, goofy, floppy walk through the veil into the library.
Jesus.
It was horrifying. It has like a monster face. It looks like not a human. Like this thing is
Picturing like Terrifier.
Yeah, kind of like that, but like really, really skinny and really tall. And he comes by me and kind of has like these tickly fingers, and I can see him. He's going after the little kid, and the kid doesn't see him. And but he walks past the dad, and the dad sees him, and he comes up to the kid and scares the kid and starts like prodding at him and poking at him with his fingers, and the kid is screaming. And I come up to the clown. The dad is like kind of freaking out, but he doesn't do anything. He like won't approach the clown. And so I go up to the clown, and I start like beating the shit out of this clown and like screaming at this clown to leave the kid alone. And he kind of like starts to prod me with his fingers. And then I can't exactly remember how this happens, but something happens, and it like makes this like surprised face, and it like poofs and it disappears into thin air, and all of its clothes just fall to the ground. That was the end of the dream.
Last episode, I was talking about how like sometimes we're laughing, but it's too quiet for the listeners to hear. The other thing is sometimes we're making like horrified, terrified faces, but it's silent.
Yeah.
It doesn't convey input. We should do like video or something.
Yeah, we should do that someday.
I couldn't do the walk for you guys. Like the walk that it did when it came through the veil was so scary.
You got me with the tickle fingers, though.
Yeah,
I
the
did
long,
not like that.
tickly, the tickle man.
The tickle, man. You just invented a new cryptid.
It was like the tickle monster, but like
Tickle.
which.
So the
Yeah.
clowns.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
I said something earlier, but
About what?
Oh, yeah. No, just like tickle monster. That reminds me of a thing that my dad used to do.
right.
Which is just that, tickle you, not stop,
Right.
And I found that like kind of utterly traumatizing as a kid. I
feel
don't
like
know.
the tickle monster is a pretty normal dad thing to do.
Yeah, it's just like he didn't stop, and you would be like crying, and he wouldn't stop.
Yeah, I definitely remember probably my dad, one of my parents, saying the phrase "tickle monster," but I don't remember them like pushing it too far.
Yeah.
Just like a little tickle,
Yeah.
just a little try to make the baby laugh.
Yeah, Victor had mentioned like this is probably about like that, but I actually think it's.
I was gonna say the clowns are hospitals and the centaur is home birth.
Oh. No, it's I think I do know what this is about, but I haven't looked anything up yet or really done any digging into it, so it's just kind of a feeling, and maybe we can see if Dream Bible confirms that or.
Okay, but I want you to be the clown.
You're gonna just stop the clown.
Oh, Gestalt the clown.
Gestalt the clown.
Why do you tickle, Olivia?
Oh, that thing did have the most energy.
Mm-hmm.
I can Gestalt the clown. Do you really? Should we do that, or do you want to?
Do you want to hear
Dream
some
Bible it
symbols first?
I feel like symbols first kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I've only got a couple. We got centaurs, children, and clowns.
Okay.
I guess you were in a forest.
Yeah, the
right?
forest and a library.
Oh, okay. Forest and library. Is there a particular one you want me to hit first?
By the way, there's something particularly upsetting about the clown in that setting with another mythical creature, like, because you have like, if you take the clown out, it's otherwise like a kind of Middle Earthy or Harry Potter-esque kind of dream with the library and the forest and the centaur. Like those images all go together. Then you just shove a clown in it.
Yeah.
That's somehow weirder than like the clown in downtown Seattle or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's true. I also some added details that are coming to me now, like in the forest, like I remember being like, oh my god, there's centaurs. Like there's centaurs everywhere. But they didn't feel evil. They didn't feel like bad, but they were definitely transporting all of these children against their will to a bad place. I remember feeling like all of those kids were being taken somewhere for being bad.
They weren't bad, but they were kidnappers.
But it was like they just like had to do it. Like they didn't have a choice. It was like they were
like Krampus.
Is that what Krampus does?
Does he have to do what he does? I don't know what he does. I guess I don't know enough about
the centaur
Krampus.
or Krampus.
Krampus. I guess I don't know enough about Krampus to know the connection you're drawing.
Well, I think he eats the naughty children, right? Like he's a.
I think he likes it though. The centaurs were just like, it was like they were just a means of transportation. They were like a means of safely transporting these children to a place where they had to go because they were bad.
They're like flying monkeys, like kidnapping children to bring them to the Wicked Witch. Or
like
whatever.
I think I even remember one like there was one kid that was like, so all of the kids were either like asleep or like kicking and screaming, and like I got the sense that the ones that were asleep had just like given up kicking and screaming, and I remember seeing one like holding this kicking and screaming kid, and like he was being gentle about it, and he was like, he had like the vibe of like, I know it sucks, like just chill out.
The centaur did.
Yeah, like they were being kind.
More like a Grim Reaper kind of vibe, like morally neutral, just ushering you.
Yes. And then the one said to me, don't worry, you're not one of them, you should be proud. That's like a direct quote.
Meaning?
I don't know.
Well, no, I was going to guess.
Oh.
What does that
Go
mean,
ahead.
Olivia? Tell us. Well, it sounds like if these kids were being transported to a bad place, it had something to do with like their behavior there.
Yeah, but I feel like when he said that, I got the sense that he wasn't talking. I can't remember for sure, but I'm not sure that he was talking about the kids when he said you're not one of them.
Oh.
That doesn't quite fit. I'm not sure. It'll probably make more sense eventually.
You felt like he wasn't talking about the kids when he said that?
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember.
I mean, I believe you. That's just interesting. I wonder, that makes me very curious what that does mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel like a kid. I didn't feel like I was.
Right. That's why you're not like them.
Yeah.
You should be proud, not being a whiny little kid.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to start reading entries. So, the forest. To dream of a forest represents an issue that leaves you feeling confused, uncertain, lost, or ejected from arrangements that give you a sense of security. A problem has left you feeling unsatisfied, insecure, or unsettled. A loss of confidence or control.
Yeah. The part that resonates is
All of it?
no. The part that's I don't think the lost and confused stuff, but like what does it say? Ejected from arrangements that give you a sense of security. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just gonna relate everything to like pregnancy and parenthood because fucking that is all that is going on in my brain lately.
I mean, it seems like that's what the dream is, right? Because you've got these kids being taken away, and then you've got like the kid being tickle monstered.
Yeah.
It's a kid stress dream.
I mean, we're embarking on a huge new journey that is very uncertain and
it's nothing like anything you've ever done, and there's nothing else comparable to it. So
yeah,
it stands to reason it would consume all of your dreams.
And then centaurs represent feelings about something being wrong with getting ahead or using quicker advantages. The possibility or suspicion that using an advantage to get ahead is wrong. The combined characteristics of someone who is stubborn, aggressive, and intelligent about how to get ahead. People in your life that you feel don't care about anything except themselves in order to get ahead. Negatively, a centaur may reflect behavior that is selfish-driven to always want more for itself. A person that scares you that they never conform at all while trying to get ahead. Feeling that someone scares you that they would always prioritize winning before honesty. Feeling stuck in a relationship with someone that never wants to settle down. Money always coming before family because you or someone else is too busy enjoying success. Feeling about advantages or opportunities being immoral.
okay, yeah,
So overwhelmingly negative.
yeah.
Yeah. But if you don't like that, I also brought up the TV tropes entry.
Some of that
for
actually
centaur.
really does resonate, but TV tropes, okay.
No. Let's hear what resonates. for you.
I'm just okay. So I'm pretty sure this dream is about what I think it's about. So maybe I should tell you guys what I think it's about, and then we can work backwards. So something that has been really present on my mind, is that I have really strong and kind of ragey feelings about people trying to come over and touch our baby.
In the future or while it's inside you?
When it's out, once it's out of me. But that's the thing is like that was inside of me. It kind of feels like that's fucking mine.
Kind of is. That is a weird cultural norm.
I don't think that it's okay. I don't think there should be any pressure on me to let people touch my baby.
But I've always thought that was weird because I've never met somebody who was so outwardly was against it, because people have always seemed like, at least in my life, like it was just like the way things go. Like, you got to come over and hold the baby. Everyone's got to hold the baby.
Yeah,
And,
I don't like it.
And I've never had a baby, but I've been pressured to hold a baby. And I thought that was weird because it's like, this is the most precious thing in your life, and it's also the most fragile. And I dropped 3 things on my way in here.
Yeah, I like it's a little less like logical than that for me. Like I'm not really worried anyone's going to drop the baby or anything. It just feels like
But the pressure's weird.
the pressure is weird. Here's the thing. There's going to be a point in time where I have no problem with people holding our baby. But it feels really weird to me for people to like expect to like get their hands on our newborn baby. And like I just like it like makes me really upset, and I don't like that there's like pressure to do that and that I'm a bad guy for not wanting people to do that. And it also feels like a little dehumanizing to like pass a person around like it's a doll. Like all that baby only cares about like
or a
being
puppy.
glued to me, right?
Yeah, it's like let me spend some time getting comfortable with me supporting the weight of its head.
It's like weird with a puppy. Like I can't imagine like just passing our dog around. Like she would hate that. They would both hate that.
That's true. Dogs can fight back though. They can nip at you.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, so like that's a strong feeling that I have. And I've been like wrestling with the idea of like I am going to set that boundary because it's like a mental health thing for me. Like that's going to drive me crazy if I feel like I have to let people come in and do that. And
they'll get over it. They'll forget about it. But if you don't set that boundary, that you won't forget about the feeling.
Yeah, it's just going to be like such a crazy, vulnerable time, like healing and like trying to figure out how to take care of an infant. And like I am a private person. We are like, well, I'll tell you guys anything on the podcast, but like I don't
we
like
are
people
private
like
people, she says on a podcast.
I don't really like people like in our space for prolonged periods of time. Like I'm very like introverted, and like I have people that I like to spend time with in certain contexts on my own time, you know? And like but like we don't have people over all the time. We're not like hanging out with people all the time. We don't spend like I'm not close with my family like that, like where I would want them like in my space in such a vulnerable time. And it just feels like everybody's waiting for me to shove this baby out so they can have their time with my baby. And that feels wrong because it's fucking mine. Sorry. I don't mean to be insensitive. It just like, it like actually makes me upset, like so upset thinking about it. And it's been like really present on my mind. And like the thing that is like fucking with me is feeling like I'm going to have to keep redrawing that boundary, or that it's like going to not be respected, you know?
Are people already bringing it up? Like, oh, I can't wait to hold that baby or whatever?
I'm sure they can't. But it was like my mom was like, who's invited to the birth? And I was like, no one. And she's like, okay, but you'll have us all over immediately after, right? And I was like, no, no, I won't. I don't want that. And like, I could tell she was disappointed, and like, I don't want to make people upset. And like, I felt myself like kind of backtracking and being like, oh, but maybe you can hold the baby, but I don't really want that. But like, maybe you can. But like what I've been feeling is, no, I don't want people to hold the baby. I shouldn't be promising them that maybe they can, you know? All right. This is like the most worked up I've ever gotten on the podcast.
No, it's good. It's good content.
I have insane hormones in my body right now.
Yeah, you're feeling really strongly that you want a good long period of time where it's just like our little family before we bring other people into it.
That makes sense with like what the limited amount that I know about like infant psychology. I feel like there is like a bonding period that's important, like before they see a mirror for the first time and start to develop the idea of the individual.
They literally don't know that. I don't know how true this is, but I keep hearing this, that like around 6 months of age is when an infant gains the ability to understand that they are a separate individual from their mother, because they've literally had their entire consciousness has been inside and then like glued to this one person. And I heard someone say like that's why like the most common first word for babies is like dada, is because that's like the first outside person that they recognize. Because they think they're part of their mom.
Yeah, I think that was my first word.
Mine too. It was dada, mama, dog for me.
Mine was,
and then it was fuck.
Check, please.
Mine was geez Louise. Ack. My first word was quoting the comic strip Kathy.
Okay, so
how do you tie that in?
The reason why I strongly feel that this dream has to be about that is because I like cried about it yesterday, and then I cried about it again yesterday, and then I like talked Victor's ear off about it last night. And I just the clown coming in and like going after this kid, and I'm the one who has to like fucking beat this clown up. It feels like it has to do with like a boundaries thing or like yeah. And then also there were these centaurs literally holding children. All of them were holding children. So like it just kind of feels like it's probably about that, but I haven't like, fully dissected it yet. So
yeah, it makes intuitive sense. Those tickle fingers are very like, let me
yeah.
hold that baby.
I said something to my mom when she was asking about like, she was like, why don't you want people to hold the baby? I said something about like, I don't want everyone's grabby hands all over my baby.
Grabby.
And
Get your
yeah,
grabby tickle fingers off my baby.
it did feel like, yeah, it just felt like he was coming with these like long grabby fingers. Yeah, it just felt like, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you're describing the clown and the tickle fingers, I remember thinking that like it's upsetting, but it's not overly like it's not violent or anything.
It wasn't really tickling though. It was like he was like prodding and poking. He just had these long fingers, and then he was coming at the kid like he was gonna like just poke at him,
which is still like more like personal space invadey than it is like
that's true,
murdery.
That's true. Yeah, it felt like it did feel the clown's main intention was to scare the kid though. Like he snuck up on the kid and then like came after him. Yeah.
So I feel like the forest kind of paints the picture of maybe how you've been feeling of like some of the stress you've been having about the scenario, and then the centaurs being like there's stuff in here about like kind of using like an unfair advantage or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like to me like where my mind goes based on like that we've been talking about you being stressed out about this recently is like you feel a certain obligation to your parents. They're your parents. You love them. They're family. We're close to them. And so I think it's hard for you to have that boundary. And so this feels like that closeness of the relationship is almost like something they have on you, you know? It's like it makes it harder for you to just say like, I would prefer to not do this, you know?
Yes. And it feels like I'm going to be guilt tripped. And the first sentence of the negatively is actually what resonates. Like
from Forrest?
Centaur.
A centaur may reflect behavior that is selfish-driven to always want more for itself.
Yeah. I don't mean to be like disparaging, or it's just that like I understand why everybody's excited that we're having a baby. They totally should be. Obviously, they're excited. And I'm glad that they're excited and happy, and that's all very natural. It just feels like I just have this like concern that it's going to be made to be about them when like I'm going through like the biggest change and like most difficult time in my life, probably. And like, I feel strongly that what I'm going to need after having given birth is to not have people trying to visit and hang out and hold the baby. And so like, to me, it feels like I get that it's not like, oh, they're so selfish for wanting to see the baby. It's just like, ultimately, it isn't really about anybody but me and that baby, right? Or it shouldn't be.
Yeah, so I feel like people look at it like an extension of marriage, like it, historically or traditionally is like it goes in that order, in terms of like major life events. And your wedding is something that you kind of like, you do it for you, like you have the wedding that you want, but you're also thinking of your guests,
Yeah.
Like, who are we going to seat by who and what do we feed them? Like it's a party that you plan in large part for everyone who's there.
Yeah.
But this is not, you can plan pregnancy to an extent, but after the conception, it's like a biological function that comes with like,
yeah,
it's not a party that you're planning in 9 months.
No,
it really has nothing to do with anybody but you two.
Yeah. And yeah, that's true. And I think I just like it's not even that I feel uncomfortable setting that boundary. It's that I am like triggered at the idea of that boundary not being respected. Or like it having to even be a thought in my head that like other people are like not happy with that choice. Like that's something I need to work on, because it isn't about them, and like I can put that boundary up, and like if they want to be upset, like it is not my responsibility to like bear the burden of their feelings. And I shouldn't. I have other things to deal with.
So children, those are probably metaphorical in this, right? This isn't just clearly a dream about the baby that you're pregnant with. Never mind. We can move on from children, right? We probably don't need to read this entry.
You think the children are just children?
We can read it. It just feels like it's, I don't know. I just already feel like I know what this dream is about. To see your real life children, that's not happening. If you have more than one child in real life, that's not what's up. To dream of children that aren't your children in waking life may reflect developing aspects of your life. Situations in life that are brand new or that you have renewed enthusiasm for, creativity, or young-minded ideas.
The developing situation is a literal child.
Negatively dreaming of children may reflect feelings about yourself or others being helpless, powerlessness to overcome big challenges, an experience that prevents you from facing difficulties because problems are too big.
Yeah, I do feel like the feeling is a little bit of helplessness. And that's why I get like so agitated, like thinking about this, is like the idea that I'm going to be in like a really vulnerable position. Like I don't know what it's going to be like, but I imagine that like that immediate postpartum is like intense, and I'm in like a compromised position. And
you're going to have to worry about other people's feelings.
Yeah, like, and the feeling of like being in that spot and then having this other bullshit that I'm like having to think about like stresses me out so much. So that resonates.
And then a library represents a search for answers, knowledge, or ideas. You may be questioning some area of your life, curious about something, looking for new ideas. Was it a negative library?
The library felt neutral. The library and the forest both actually felt like kind of...
Dreaming of libraries are common to people trying to learn a lot about parenting.
Oh, yeah, that's what that is.
So this is one of those dreams where you came in with like a really strong intuition on what it was about. And I feel like the stronger that feeling is, like the more likely it is that you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And so it's one of those episodes where we're just going through the symbols and basically confirming your theory.
Yeah, I guess so.
It says to dream of an evil clown represents a fear of embarrassment or that people will laugh at you. I don't think that's right.
Well, but I can kind of connect that. Like, I feel like what that brings up for me is like not being taken seriously when I'm saying like, please don't come over for weeks I'm not letting people hold our newborn baby for a while. And having people like, think that that's silly or stupid, or that I'm being irrational or whatever, like I get that impulse in me is coming from like some stuff with me, but it just kind of doesn't matter. Like that is not a good enough reason for me to like be like, well, I guess I should just let people hold the baby then. Like if it is gonna fuck with me, I'm just not gonna do it. I don't need to keep justifying it to you guys. Just but I think that part about the evil clown, like it's not embarrassment or that they'll laugh at me, but it's like that they won't take me seriously.
And then to dream of being tickled represents an aspect of yourself that is encouraging you to stop caring. Tickling may also reflect a person or situation that is trying to cheer you up. To dream that you're tickling someone else represents your attempt to make someone else lighten up or be more confident.
So no, that's the clown, the evil clown who represents people who are not taking me seriously is doing the tickling, which is like encouraging to stop caring or being serious, being persuaded that an issue isn't a big deal or to lighten up. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
To me, it just feels like this is like a heightened version of your recurring like dog dream, right? Like for a long time, Olivia's dreams have been needing to protect the dogs, and everyone else is being incompetent, and she's the one that's responsible for making sure that no one innocent is harmed.
Yeah, I think I called that. I mean, it's an obvious call, but like a bunch of episodes ago, I said that when you guys have kids, all your dog dreams, Olivia, are going to turn into like the same dream, but with kids.
Something you said, like, I do feel like there's something deeper here for us to try and figure out. And it's like, there's something about the centaurs carrying these children that I don't understand. I don't understand.
And the thing that they said to you.
I don't understand what that's all about. And then the transition between, they were taking these kids like somewhere, and it was like, I just walked through a portal into a library.
Yeah. So, do you want to like maybe search your feelings for a minute and see if you can maybe connect to where you feel like they were being taken, or like what, like, can you try and pull any more insights up?
Yeah, give me a sec.
Do you think you could just thought the centaur? Because it is interesting when you have a direct quote said to you in a dream, because that's you talking to you.
That's true.
I have a feeling that the centaurs have to do with like parents, and that there may be like a stand-in for the responsible parent, and like the opposite of the dad in the library who like didn't know what to do, and I had to jump into action. Like the centaurs had it handled, and I was just kind of like I was walking with them, but they were handling a situation. I do feel like the kids were going somewhere bad though. I don't know, or against their will. I don't necessarily know that they were going somewhere bad. It didn't feel like they were going like to
kids go everywhere against their will.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's hard to say. But so then the centaur telling me that I'm not like them is maybe more like that I'm not like the incompetent dad in the library. That's just a feeling I have.
If the tickle monster is like social pressure to lighten up, and the dad is caving into that, and he's like, "Oh, all right, you can tickle my kid."
I don't think the tickle monster is like that social pressure though. Like I kind of think the tickle monster is like the embodiment of this like thing with you that like didn't like the Fairly Odd Parents because of the incompetent parents in it or whatever. And like in your dreams, it's always that everyone else is being an idiot. And so you have to stand out, like kind of the villain of those dreams is the incompetence of others.
Yeah.
And you have this like cartoonish, like clown villain where it's like they're doing a jokey thing and they're like, and it is causing harm. Right. And you have to like, it feels like it's like the embodiment of that like harmful incompetence that plagues you.
It's like heightened more than I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
In a dream. It's usually just like people not paying attention or like making dumb spur of the moment decisions when it matters, you know? But this was like evil.
This is like because that thing in you comes from some kind of wound, right? Like you developed some kind of anxiety along the way of like feeling responsible, or like you had to be responsible for others or whatever. And this is maybe like how you received that, right? Like the things that made you feel, the place where that comes from was that initial trauma that you experienced, that feeling of, oh, this is evil, this is scary, this is harmful to me, that you initially experienced. Am I making sense? I feel like I'm rambling. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like this is a thing that haunts me. To this day, I'm really put off by like film and TV that has these characters that are unrealistically like buffoonish. Yeah. It's the same word. But yeah, that is it. It is like when they're like, yeah, they're just like making a fool out of themselves, and like, and especially when they're in like an authority position, and there's this dynamic that you see all the time in movies and TV, where there's like a kid that like has these parents that are cartoonishly stupid, and the kid is like the character that's most relatable and grounded.
Mm-hmm. And those shows are usually made for kids.
They are. And I think
want you to relate to they want the main character, the one that you relate to be your age.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that it's like for a kid that has like a really secure attachment with their parents and like feels safe and secure with their parents, it's probably funny to see silly, goofy parents. But for me, it's distressing. And it was when I was a kid, and it is now to a lesser extent. Like I can handle it now, but it just like kind of turns me off. Like I don't really like that trope.
So do you think you were onto something when you said that maybe what the centaur was saying, you know, you talking to yourself, is that don't worry about hurting other people's feelings when you draw this boundary, because you're not that Fairly Odd Parents parent.
Mm.
You've done research and you've thought about this, and you've made your decision. So
that could be that. It also could be like a looser thing where it's just like, because there's like a part of me that's like, am I gonna fuck up this parenting thing? Like that's obviously a concern. If you're not worried about fucking it up, you probably should be. But also like, you know, everyone's gonna fuck it up a little bit, so it's fine. But like, I don't know, maybe it was like confirmation that I'm not going to cause that same kind of issue for my kid.
Where do you think the parents of the kids getting carried off by centaurs were?
That's a great question. I think that they were like, I remember having a feeling about that in the dream. I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah, it just felt like they were like not there.
Okay, so were the centaurs maybe the consequence of like the inattention of their parents?
That's interesting.
And that's why they're like, don't worry, you're not like them, you should be fine.
Right. So it's like these kids are here, their parents are who knows where, and so these centaurs are taking them to a bad place. Don't worry, you're not like the parents whose kids get carried off by centaurs.
I feel like that fit with the centaur entry. Like it was a bunch of negative stuff. I mean, like being emblematic of consequences of neglect.
It
kind of tracks from my memory.
No, I feel like the centaur entry was about like trying to take advantage and like
get ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the part of the centaur entry that's why I'm having a hard time connecting it. Like the parts of the centaur entry like resonate, but don't feel like connected to how I saw the centaurs in the dream, I guess.
Just to be clear, you're talking half man, half horses, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's correct.
It would be funny if you were using the wrong mythological term, and then it turns out the right one was exactly the missing piece.
Oh, yeah. No, they were.
If you were like, oh shit, I meant griffins.
Oh yeah, they were horse dudes. Yeah. I don't know.
It would be a bummer to be a centaur, but still have like a average human sized penis.
It would be a bummer to be a centaur, but like the other way around, where you're just like a man body with a horse head. Horse from the chest up.
Or
be so fucking heavy.
A horso is what that's called.
You'd have to be like balanced on your front two hooves, and then your legs would just be like dangling up in the air, right? You'd just be like kind of keeping them up and trying to keep them balanced.
I was picturing human feet planted on the ground. And then
yeah, me too. But you're right. That would be too top heavy.
Yeah, if you think of the weights.
The center of gravity.
Right.
I forgot about the hooves part. Like I was thinking of like human arms, but no, like there would be.
You have to hang all your pants. You'd have to hang all your pants in the closet and then back into them.
How do you hang them with hooves?
With
you
your toe,
need help.
So.
You need help. You need the other half. You need like a regular centaur to do your handwork for you. And then you're just useless. You're a useless reverse centaur. Okay, well.
I was trying to think, do I try to add to the interpretation, or do I keep going down this road of centaur variations? I mean, how are you feeling?
I feel like there's more here that I don't fully understand yet. Like, again, I feel like the centaurs, they felt like they didn't feel negative to me. And like, I guess the natural conclusion on its face, it sounds like, okay, these centaurs, these pushy people are taking the children away to a bad place. Like that feels like it echoes my fear, but it doesn't quite feel right. And it felt like the centaurs were very like calm and like neutral and like they had it under control. And I almost like wonder if I'm mistaken about the kids going to a bad place, if that's like maybe a misinterpretation on my part, like that maybe it felt like that because some of them were kicking and screaming, but like maybe I don't know, like I don't feel strongly about them being taken to a bad place. I guess it just like,
yeah, I mean a lot of things that are good for us we go kicking and screaming into in early development.
It felt like it was a consequence, but I don't know that necessarily means that the kids were going to suffer. Like it felt like this was happening because of something else.
Was there any connection between the kid and the library and the kids being carried away?
No.
Like were they being carried to the library? Is that what you mean?
No. What was interesting was like I was on the path and then like I was in the library and I looked back and I could see the veil back into the forest, which is where the clown came from. And the centaurs were still walking down that path, but they were not coming into the library. So they were going somewhere else.
So they were passing by the library?
It was like I went through a veil that nobody else went through. The portal was only open for me and the clown.
So, I mean, it kind of feels like what did the library look like? Was it foresty at all?
No.
Just a fully library?
Yeah, it was a big library.
Like a Baroque kind of like aesthetic library or
yeah, a little
like,
bit. But there was a kids
like
section.
Not like the public library. With
no,
just
it was a pretty
fluorescent
library.
lights and
it was a pretty kind of an old looking building. It was dark. It was like nighttime. And then there was like one light on in the kids section and the kid was over there.
It does seem significant that only you and the clown could cross the veil.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like I was just like kind of floating along this path. I don't know where I was going. I was just kind of in this stream of centaurs that were going somewhere else and I ended up somewhere different.
Because my first instinct, because they're just so different, is like, is this another example of your dream trying to send you the same message two different ways? Like, is what's happening in the first half of the dream and what's happening in the clown half of the dream, like, just different ways to get at the same thing?
My gut says no.
Okay.
But they're like, I think they're connected, but it's not exactly the same. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No. I think if your gut says no, then that's the answer.
I think they're two different parts of this of a big picture.
Gotcha.
I actually kind of feel like the centaurs were my gut says the centaurs are the opposite of the incompetent parent.
The centaurs are the opposite of the like. Would you say the clown is representing the incompetent parent? Or no?
There was a literal incompetent parent there.
Yeah, the dad.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say they're the opposite of that. And the clown is...
You said the clown was like people not taking you seriously when you draw this boundary like that. I think that's why I compared the clown to like the social pressure of...
Yeah, I think
of passing your baby around.
I think in the context of my fear about that situation, yeah. But I think that the clown maybe is representative of just like harm being caused. And in the library, this clown came in and basically went right past the dad and is going after this kid who's not my kid. I didn't know who he was, but I had to step in because I'm a fucking centaur.
So it could be like the harm caused by people like invading your personal space in these immediate months, but it could also just be harm at large caused by general incompetence.
It could be like, yeah, that could be my fear of like the harm that could be caused
if you're not diligent.
Yes,
like this dad wasn't.
Yeah, that feels closer.
So if the centaurs are the opposite of the incompetent parents, but they're still taking the kids to a negative place, then is that maybe representative of like an overcorrection? Like being too like a helicopter parent or something?
The centaurs?
Yeah, because if they are the opposite of incompetent, but still the end result is negative, that feels like maybe it's like, going too far in the other direction.
I don't think so. I don't know. It just felt like
some of the kids were kicking and screaming, but some were asleep.
It kind of felt like, I don't know. I'm going back on my statement that the kids were being taken to a bad place. Like, I don't know that.
Why are you going back on that though?
Because it doesn't quite feel right. It doesn't quite feel accurate. Like it's sort of, I think what feels more accurate is that the centaurs carrying the children were the results of a bad thing happening. That they wouldn't have to do that if not for this other thing that happened. It isn't necessarily that the consequences that the kids are being taken to a bad place. It's just that like they had to step in to do this because of something bad.
I mean, if they're the opposite of an incompetent parent, then maybe that's emblematic of like a fear of what it's going to look like to like stand in your truth as and be that type of parent. You know what I mean? Because it's not always going to be easy. Like sometimes the kid will be going along with it, but sometimes they'll be kicking and screaming, and you're going to have to like forge ahead. And it might even feel like a bad place. So maybe that's where the misinterpretation or the second guessing comes from. I mean, socially, it might be made to feel like a bad place. Your boundaries.
Yeah. So, yeah, that resonates. I think parenting is going to be very, very difficult in ways that I can't even begin to imagine. And yeah, I think that I guess I have like a concern that like our choices as parents might be like questioned by the people around us or by family members who like, back in my day, you just put a little whiskey in their bottle and they go right to sleep.
Mm-hmm. What, are you too good for a hospital?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Does that make sense? Something what you said about like something you said brought that up for me, I guess. Like
Yeah, I was
that
just
the
trying to connect.
centaurs are like they're doing like a difficult they're doing something that is responsible but also difficult in its own way and like not pleasant, you know?
Yeah. I was just trying to connect your feelings about the symbols to the meanings we've discussed.
Yeah, just really, that makes me even more confused about what "you're not like them" means.
If it felt like the kids were like taken away from their parents, out of necessity almost.
The centaurs are like social services.
Yeah, kind of. That is kind of the vibe of it.
Is it possible? So, the pieces of dreams are pieces of yourself, right? And you feel like you this part of you that like needs to step in and like protect the part of you that shows up in dreams that's like, I'm responsible for making sure that everyone's safe, right? Is it possible that like the kids represent like your trauma or whatever, and then the centaur maybe reflects like the like part of you that has developed to like protect you and others. You know what I mean? It's like in this case, it's like the centaur is like the defense mechanism of the kid they're carrying, because their parents like failed in some way to protect them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. I don't know. I feel like there's more here that I'm maybe gonna just have to unpack over time, or maybe I'll try some dream incubation on this one.
Oh, hell yeah.
We're gonna talk about Steve every episode. We have so far. Hi, Steve.
What up, Steve? Yeah, maybe just sit with it and we can do a follow up if there are any developments. But you know, you came in with like a strong feeling and a solid thesis that I feel like we've been able to develop a little. There's just maybe like one little puzzle piece missing.
Yeah, I think so.
It is a good viewpoint to see the world as a dream.
So I Googled it because like I thought I remembered what the amount was, and I was like, that can't be right. So I looked it up. Is this? I still don't believe this. Okay, I have found a website, but I don't know how legit this is. It's like livescience.com. I'm trying to find like, okay, there's something on the New York Times, Guardian, plastics deep in lungs. This might not be true because this sounds crazy. But the statistic is, 2019. Team of scientists estimated that up to 16.2 bits of microplastics enter our airways every hour. That means that you're inhaling a credit card worth of microplastics every week.
No.
That's what this says.
No.
Yeah.
I'd be dead.
I think it's the
it also
idea
feels
here.
like it feels like I would be inhaling more credit cards in Los Angeles than like somebody in, I don't know, a more rural area. So is that an average? Am I inhaling 2 credit cards?
And also the question is, how much of the credit cards are you breathing back out?
That's the thing. I think that's what it is. It's like, it's not that you're retaining a credit card worth of plastic every week. It's that like over the course of a week, a credit card worth of microplastic gets like pulled in and then out of your body.
How much of that credit card is like sifting through my capillaries?
Bloodstream.
Yeah.
Okay, this brought me to nature.com, so this is legit. Abstract. Humans are potentially exposed to microplastics through food, drink, and air. The first 2 pathways have received quite some scientific attention, while little is known about the latter. Blah, blah, blah. All samples were contaminated with microplastics with concentrations between 1.7 and 16.2 particles. M-3, I don't know what that means. Synthetic fragments and fibers accounted on average for 4% of the total identified particles. Blah, blah.
Man, how long until the technology comes out where we're able to harvest the plastic from us and recycle it into like Warhammer figurines or whatever?
Oh, whoa. That would be crazy. That would be like $1,000 to like harness the microplastics out of your body and make you like a D&D character from it.
Yeah, 3D print from your own body.
Yeah, it's like it has to, like we have to extract the plastic out of your body. That's all we're allowed to use to make you a little guy.
There's all kinds of things you could make out of that as like sentimental objects to give to people on fucking Mother's Day. I don't know.
This came from inside me.
Okay, I'm going to stop trying to decipher this scientific abstract. You're inhaling microplastics, people, and you're breathing them out again. Some of it's in your body and some of it's not. Some of it's, I assume, dust.
From ashes to ashes.
Thank you for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can follow us on social media at The Young and the Restless Pod and submit your dreams for interpretation to thejungandtherestlesspod at Gmail.
And as we always say,
From asses to asses, butts to butts.
Treat you a tiger